Hi guys, welcome to another video. Now from my previous video, I have returned from the dead. In that I was in my facelift Mercedes C43 AMG. I did also mention I still have the Tesla Model 3 long range. Now I basically had this car for just over a year now, and there's a lot more drama involved with this car than there has been with my C43. C43, nothing's actually gone wrong, it's just done its job and it's kept a smile on my face. I don't actually like the Model 3. It really annoys me and it's very boring, and yet there isn't a single other electric car that I'd rather have in the UK than this, particularly for the mileage that I do. Apart from a Taycan Turbo S, so if anyone fancies buying me one of those, then yeah, I might switch. There's a lot of stuff that this car does that is just, it's like light years ahead of kind of everyone else, and there are a lot of annoying things about being an actual car that it doesn't do very well, which, these guys haven't been making cars as long as the likes of Mercedes, Audi, BMW, etc. So, some of it's forgivable. We are headed towards, all electric. I don't think it'll be by 2030. It's far too soon. The infrastructure's not there, but we are headed that way. The big elephant in the room, really, and has made a massive difference for me, is the whole charging issue. So although I only did 6,000-7,000 miles in my C43 over the past kind of 14 months or so, I've done more than 20,000 in this, and 20,000 miles in an electric car is a fair amount. Now the brilliant thing about Tesla at the minute is this supercharging network. In the UK, they are absolutely everywhere, and the equivalent kind of non-Tesla charging stuff, I think it's called Ecotricity or whatever it is. Someone can correct me in the comments. It's just not reliable at all. You can arrive at a charger and you don't know if it's going to work or not, and the last thing you want to be playing range games in is an electric car. If you're running low on petrol, whatever, it takes 2 minutes to put petrol in. This is one of the stupid things that happens. I'm nowhere near that bad, but it is what it is. You can't really do super long journeys without stress in something that isn't a Tesla. I've done so many journeys to kind of London, the other end of the country, where the round trip is we're talking 400 or 500 miles. Now there isn't an electric car out there currently that can realistically do the 400 or 500 miles on one charge. You have to charge somewhere, whether it's overnight or at a charging station. Now imagine you're going to a hotel or something like that. You might not necessarily be able to charge it overnight, whereas with the supercharging network, how many charges are available. It's pre-planned into your kind of route. All the thinking's taken out of it. It's the car does everything, and I stop loads of times anyway to I need a wee. By the time I've done that, bought something to eat or drink, the car's got enough charge to go on to the next destination or the next charging stop, so I don't really need to think about it too much. It's for that reason, the other electric cars, the BMW, the equivalent BMW stuff, Audi, first off, the range isn't as good for the size of the battery. Tesla battery tech is still one of the best, and then it's just a bloody nightmare trying to charge anything else anywhere else. If you are someone that does a lot of mileage, whether it's electric or petrol, another reason why the Model 3 makes sense is that, so I've done 20,000 miles in this. A lot of that has been supercharged mileage, and this car came with 1 year's worth of free supercharging, which is obviously a big deal, especially with the energy prices at the minute. So to put that into perspective, so I've probably spent about £200 in terms of electricity in the last year to charge this car to do 20,000 miles, and all of that's been at home charging, overnight charging. The supercharging's been free. Now if I tried to convert that to the mileage in my C43 and how much that would have cost me in petrol, I don't even want to think about it, but let's do some quick maths. It costs me now near enough almost £100 to fill that tank in the C43, and I can get, if I'm really good, 400 miles, I'd say. For the ease of maths, let's just say 400. Obviously if you're using for Sport Plus and like half that, but let's go with 400 miles at £100 a tank. So what's 20,000 divided by 400? I don't want to embarrass myself. I think, is it 50? I think it's, I'm going to use the number 50, and I'll correct it if I need to after the video. So that's 50 full tanks of petrol to do the 20,000 miles. So 50 times 100, what's that? Flipping heck, £5,000 in petrol. And that's, you know, provided I can do 400 miles. It's not necessarily always been 400 miles. You know, if you're anything like me, you use Sport Plus a lot. Let's say, you know, your range is 200 miles, so that's like £10,000 on petrol, whereas compared to just £200 in electricity. So, you know, this is a great work car. You know, I do a lot of mileage for work. You know, it gets used by other people, long journeys, down to kind of like London or up north, south coast. Just use this car. You know, the main reason to go with a Tesla is the charging infrastructure. The car itself and kind of, you know, the tech. At first the tech was really good, but every time they do a software update, things just get broken. For example, honestly, this pisses me off so much. There's been a 2022 update where they've just changed absolutely everything. They've made some icons bigger at the bottom, then everything else is just, it's ridiculous. If I want to turn the windscreen wipers on, you know, there used to be a button right there, but I can't do it now. So what I still haven't figured it out. All I know is that I have to manually engage the wiper, then that brings this little display up down here. And by the time, you know, if it's suddenly started raining, chucking it down or whatever, by the time I've actually pressed what I needed to press, I've already crashed. Because that's the thing, whoever designed this, you know, the interface, obviously never drives. Because a lot of this stuff is, you know, when you're driving, you just can't use it. This is why I love buttons and things like that, or even like something like haptic feedback. All this is just pointless. And you have to press so many different buttons to do the most basic things. For example, do you know, I'll probably do a video on all the things that annoy me about the touchscreen and just the interface of this car. Because this is YouTube, I might do that. But yeah, if I wanted to turn seat heaters on or anything like that, I've got to press this, which then brings up this menu. I've got to choose the front. I'm trying to do this whilst not hitting people, so do you know what I mean? If I want to adjust something on the rear, do this. It's like, well, why didn't they just have it left on, you know, on this like small bottom display, which they did have last year. It's just they've just gotten rid of it. What's the car like to drive? Performance. So this is the Model 3 long range, so it is four-wheel drive, but it's not the performance. But you know, you put your foot down and it flies off. And for the for any kind of comparative rival electric car, you know, with a similar size battery, etc., won't come close to the performance on this. This is hands down, you know, it's a lot quicker than my C43 in real world terms. You know, acceleration wise, the fact that it's just already available, it pulls quite hard. So you know, if you're looking for performance, electric actually is much better in the real world. In terms of its handling, you know, it's four-wheel drive, it's not bad. It's not as, let's say, sharp as a BMW M performance car, but you know, you're not really buying it for that. So that stuff I don't really think about too much. I've got my C43 if I want to be a bit of a hooligan. This is just the perfect A to B destination doer. In comfort, relative ease, really good practicality. You know, you've got a decent sized boot at the back. It's not very deep compared to the equivalent like C-Class or 3 Series or something, 4 Series, something like that. Sorry, it's a bit shallow, but it does go in quite deep. But then of course you've got the front boot, you've got a fair amount of space behind the seats. There's no transmission tunnel, for example, so it's very good on that front. And right now, if you can get your hands on a Model 3, you're doing well, because the value of them has just shot up straight through the roof. This is worth more than it was bought for, and that's if you can even find one, because if you look at the Tesla inventory, there's just hardly any stock available. But to basically sum up, guys, look, if you're not doing a lot of mileage, then yeah, look at something else, because you know, the interior of pretty much any German rival electric car is going to be nicer than this. It's not going to be as bland. For me, this is just really, really boring. Like, everything's there and there's nothing going on here. So at night time it's a bit weird. Literally you can't see anything apart from just this giant iPad that's illuminated. But if you are doing a lot of mileage, which a lot of you guys do for work or whatever, the main reason to not do electric is obviously this whole kind of, where do I charge it, the range on these cars is amazing. We're talking kind of like real world range, probably just under close to 300, I'd say, which if you've got a performance car anyway, it's probably nearly 300 anyway on a tank. The Tesla charging infrastructure is so good anyway. I don't really think about, I don't have to like think too much about, do I need to deviate from my journey to go and charge the car for XYZ amount of time. It's just made really simple and easy, which you don't get in anything else that isn't a Tesla at the minute in the UK. Obviously, if you live abroad, I don't know what the charging infrastructure is like for non-Tesla cars. Anyway guys, if you got comments about the Model 3, because not all of you are into the gas guzzling prehistoric dinosaur types of like my C43, leave them down below. Doing best to help you out. There's more content to do with this car, more in-depth stuff, which I find is quite interesting, or it might not be, it might be really boring. But as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.